Hi everyone. So today we are joined by Namya, and Namya recently got admitted to a bunch of deferred MBA programs. And I'll hand over the virtual mic to her in a minute, and to explain more about which program did she apply to, how did she apply, her background, etc. So on today's chat, we are going to cover two topics. The first topic is that what are deferred MBA programs, and why should undergraduate students consider applying for these? And we will talk about Namya's personal journey to that extent. And second is that we will talk a little bit more about how to build your profile as a college student if you are aiming for these deferred MBA. So over to you, Namya. If you can just quickly introduce yourself, we will then talk about subsequently about deferred MBA and your profile building aspects.
Sure. Thanks, Akshay. Thank you for having me here. I'm Namya. I am a recent graduate from chemical engineering from IIT Delhi. And I'll soon be starting my job as an associate consultant at BCG. So that's mostly about me. I have been involved in the badminton club of my university, and I've done a couple of internships in the research area where I realized that chemical engineering is not my forte, and I'd like to jump into consulting. And here I am, waiting for my job to start.
Got it. Okay, wonderful. So Ramya, which deferred MBA programs did you apply to? And if you can just first and foremost tell us what deferred MBA programs are for people who are just joining us. What deferred MBA programs are? Which deferred MBA programs did you apply to? And what was your success rate like?
Sure. So deferred MBA is, as the name suggests, it's basically you apply as a college senior and you get the admission right now. However, you join the school 2 to 4 years down the line. So work experience is must in an MBA, and mostly the normal MBA route is when you work for 3-4 years and then you apply. But deferred MBA gives you a chance to apply when you are a college senior and gives you a head start so as to you can plan your career henceforth. And in terms of answering your second question, so I got to know, and I think a lot of our people in our audience would be familiar with HBS 2+2. It's the deferred MBA program of Harvard Business School. And I was aware of that, but I myself wasn't aware of a couple of other programs which other elite business schools also offer. And I came to know about them during my journey. So I had applied to 6 schools. Harvard, Wharton has introduced their program this year. Chicago Booth, Kellogg, Columbia Business School, and Darden.
Okay.
And I got interview invites from Kellogg, Booth, and Darden, and I converted all 3 of them.
Wonderful. So Namya, just to quickly summarize, a lot of people who are just joining us or who have not done a lot of research about deferred MBA programs. So one notion or one misconception about applying abroad is that you need a lot of experience, right? Unless you have 5 years of experience or 4 years of experience, I can't go abroad, therefore I'll take CAT and go to an Indian business school. So what Namya is trying to tell you guys is that if you are in your undergrad with 0 years of experience, you can apply to deferred MBA programs and you can then get an admit. So for example, Namya got into Chicago Booth, Kellogg, which are 2 top 5 business schools in the US. And then you can start your MBA at a subsequent date, right? So that is how it goes, right? But your admission is fixed, right? I mean, you get that clarity right at the start of your career. That is the first key good point about deferred MBA. The second question, Namya, that I frequently get is that, hey, is deferred MBA program, would it have a different class altogether compared to a regular MBA? So have you done your research on that? So, yeah.
Yes. No, so you are completely in the same class with the cohort or the year you decide to matriculate. So for example, I got admitted in 2022. I have the option of joining the cohort of whichever school I decide to go to 2 to 5 years down the line. So it's flexible that you can join the cohort of this school anytime between 2 to 5 years from now. And whichever year you decide to matriculate, you are in the same class as the people who get admitted that year. In fact, deferred MBA takes slightly a smaller cohort, so it's more competitive, but at the same time, it gives you a head start in your career.
Got it. So just to quickly summarize this, basically the point is that there is no difference between the structure or teachers who teach you your MBA. You graduate with the same class. It's called deferred because you have been accepted with literally 0 years of work experience. and it's a way of categorization that the school establishes between regular MBA and deferred MBA. Deferred means that they are looking for high achievers who are currently in undergrad and applying as a final year student, right? So that is the second key point that we wanted to establish, that you can apply with 0 years of experience. The third and final point here is that, and I'll add on to what Namya was saying, that now the structure of deferred MBA programs might differ. For example, if you're applying for Yale Silver Scholars, which is a deferred MBA program for Yale, you start your classes right after your undergrad, right? So 1 year you complete, then you go get 2 years of experience, then you come back, complete your MBA, and you graduate, right, with an MBA degree. However, at Kellogg and Booth, you get a slightly different option, that you can start your MBA between a certain time period, right? So every business school would have, every deferred MBA option would have a certain different aspect to it. So please study that. But bottom line is that in order to apply, and I'll let Namya add more to that, that you need to be in your final year of your undergrad, or if you have not done any job and you have directly moved to your master's degree, then you can apply in the final year of your master's degree as well, right? So basically without any gap, right? So Namya, anything to add on that?
No, correct. So if you have only studied up till now, so even if you are a master's student but you don't have any work experience, you can definitely apply in the final year of your master's, and same goes for undergrad. Correct. The only work experience they probably look at your profile is the internships that you've done during your college, and they gauge your professional experience from that. Yes.
So great, guys. In case you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment box, and we will try to answer those. But yeah, now switching gears and moving on to how to get into deferred MBA programs. So Namya, just one quick final point on the utility or efficacy of deferred MBA programs. So what was your reason of applying to deferred MBA? Why could you not wait for gaining 3 years of experience and then applying to regular MBA?
Sure. Well, the conventional path is that you gain 3-4 years of experience and then you apply. But as a deferred candidate, what additional benefits you have is that you have access to the school's resources. So they connect you with alumni, they connect you with current students. They also engage you in events that happen at their school. So it gives you more insights into what is happening at a B school, what you would like to explore. B, I think it gives you a set of clarity that, okay, after 3 or 4 years, I'll be going to so-and-so B school. So how do I prepare myself for that? I think you are more willing to take risks in your career. You are more willing to explore things, your own interests, your own passion, what your long-term goal is. So, okay, you need to go to a B school, but there's a long-term goal that you're aspiring for. So what you can do for it right now, instead of worrying about building a profile for a B school application, I think you are more focused on your end-term goal. And that's a good aspect. And the third aspect is flexibility. As I mentioned, a lot of B schools offer you a bandwidth of 2 to 4 to 5 years to matriculate. So I today can decide to go to the B school either in 2022, 2023, 4 or 5, which is not there in the regular admission process because you will be having a specific year where you need.
Got it. So to cut the long story short, you get a lot of clarity about your career and you're sorted. You don't have to stress too much because your admission offer is sorted. You don't have to run the race that, hey, okay, I'm working now, I need to write my CAT or GMAT, so on and so forth exams. So all that tension is taken away from you and you can focus on your career and actually do things that you're passionate about. And second is the resources that you start getting right from the time you get admitted, that you'll be connected to alums, so you can explore all that channel, build your network. So it's very useful from that perspective. Okay. So Namya, now, great. We are all convinced that we should apply to deferred MBA programs. So what should we do? Right. So what are 2-3 key things that you would propose that student who is in second year or third year or fourth year should start doing?
Sure. So we can look at the entire application process and then put it into buckets. So the first thing is that you need to have a standardized test. So it could be the GMAT or the GRE. And you have a lot of material on the internet. You need to give that test and you need to score good. So that is the first thing, and you need to get it done as early as possible. That would be my suggestion. So if you are in your second year or third year, try to get it done a couple of months before your application deadlines. The second is, what are the other aspects of the application? So they definitely look at your resume. You have an essay. So being an undergrad, you don't have a lot of work experience, as we talked about. The only work experience you have are internships. So I think if you are in the process and you want to apply, you should focus on getting meaningful work experience. You should not worry about the money the internship is paying to you, but you should look at it as a capacity building exercise. A, you should get some skills out of that, and B, you should be able to understand the industry. You should be able to understand what your future goals are. So these are the two key things that you should get out of your internships. And the third part of the application is your essay, which is considered the toughest part. So one of my biggest recommendation to candidates would be that if you are applying to say 5 schools, you can't just make one essay and copy paste it for all of the applications. You need to do your own fair bit of research and look about how you are going to, what you are going to write in their application, what the B school is looking for, talk to candidates, alums, etc. about what kind of skills, values you want to put forth, what stories you want to tell, and do your introspection in that front. The fourth thing would be recommenders. So the application requires 2 people to recommend you. Ideally one from the professional space, so somebody who would have supervised you during your past internship, and the other would be coming from an academic space, so some professor, some thesis supervisor, or things like that. And finally, once you make it through the shortlist, you have your interviews, and I think we can talk about it in some other space. But I think as far as building your application goes, I think you should focus on these aspects.
Right. Wonderful. So Namya, one key question that I get a lot from candidates applying to deferred MBA programs is that, hey, my college, I don't get any opportunities to do like international assignments or get good internships. There are no big companies that will recruit me, especially post-COVID. So any suggestions from you, what type of internships should people look? Because everything else is connected, right? I mean, if you get good internships, if you're building your profile well, then automatically you get a good recommendation. You know, your essays become super strong, so on and so forth. So it starts from building out your profile. So any specific tips in terms of profile building?
Sure. So I think what I have learned through my experience is that the people who review your application, the AdCom members, don't look at your application superficially. I mean, even if you have big brand names on your internships, does not go a long way compared to if you have good stories to tell. So even if you do your internship in, say, a small startup, but you've actually helped to scale that startup in your 2-month stint, that will speak much more than probably not working very well or not working in a good role that actually suits your profile in a big company. So my advice would be that even in COVID, you might not be getting paid internships, you might not be getting internships in your dream companies, but I think there are ample learning opportunities, which could be in a lot of upcoming startups, or you could start something of your own, or you could do some community work. I think those stories speak a lot for your application, because they help you learn things and also bring about personality traits that the AdCom looks for.
Right. So more specifically, what are 2 or 3 key activities or internships did you speak about in your applications?
Sure. So I did 2 internships in both of them were actually chemical engineering related, you know. So, and I am, as I told you before, I am going to start my career in management consulting. So they were quite different from my profile, but it helped me speak loads about what I learned from the internship and how it made me aware of what not to do. So I was good at chemical engineering. I have a decent CGPA, etc. But my internships made me aware that this is not what I am looking for. I am probably looking for something else. So I talked about my HUL internship, which I did. I talked about a couple of projects which I did at my university, which were not course projects, but something you can say count in co-curricular activities. I talked about those. I talked about the fact that I had gone on foreign exchange in one of my semesters and how I had held leadership positions in a different country. I talked about that. I talked about my experience in being in the badminton team of my university and how it shaped my personality. So I think it's not only about internships, even about your co-curricular, extracurricular involvement in different things, your leadership positions, your community work, all of them combined. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So, so what would you say was your standout factor, right? I mean, because a lot of people join badminton team, a lot of people have a high GPA, a lot of people have a 740 GMAT. So what was that one unique thing, if you have to point out, that you would say was the standout factor for you?
All right. I think personally for me, I have had a lot of international experience. So I did a second year internship in Switzerland. I did my third year foreign exchange semester in South Korea. I went for a youth delegation organized by the Ministry of Youth Affairs to Russia. So these were things that are not easily found in all applicants who have a similar profile to me. But having said that, I think more important than that is that your application needs to connect 2-3 dots. It should tell you that how have you become the person you are today, be what you aspire to be, and how will an MBA help you achieve that. I think people are very good at putting their experience out there, putting their skills out there, but they are not very good at connecting what they are actually looking for. So okay, they have understood that okay, you have achieved all of those, but what do you aspire to do, and how will so and so B school help you achieve that, is something that you needs to be put very clearly, and it should be crystal clear to the community that okay, this is why you want to do it.
Wonderful. So great. I think that covers a lot of ground, right? In terms of how to approach your applications. What are some areas that you need to look for in terms of profile development? So the way I understood is that, like at least hearing Namya's story, that number one, make sure that you do diverse range of activities. There should be some kind of standout factor. For Namya, it was her international experiences. Number three, there should be avenues to outline how you have grown, right, over your 4 years as an undergrad student or 3 years as an undergrad student. That's very important, right? Fourth and final point is that it should indicate towards something, right? So which is something that Namya did not explicitly say when I asked her, but she has been indicating it, that she was interested in like management consulting. She was good at chemical engineering. So that progression was there in like some way or the other, right? So these are important points to cover. Now, a lot of questions that we get is that, hey, I'm really good at academics. I have like 9.8 GPA from an IIT, but I'm not doing much, right? It's almost third year in college now, and I have not done much in terms of my extracurricular activities. I know I can get a 750. So what would be your tips for such applicants, how they should utilize like final 1 year in terms of profile development?
All right. I think this is slightly tricky because if it's me giving advice to someone who's a fresher, I would definitely tell them to get themselves involved in a lot of clubs at college, but that would not be so easy for a person who's in third year. So if you have an academically oriented profile and you want to apply to a B school, I think there's still a lot you can do. So for example, IIT Delhi did not have a finance club till recently. A few people started it. So there are a lot of avenues to build, so if you start a club at your university, you also exhibit leadership, you also exhibit entrepreneurship, you also exhibit certain teamwork. So I think you can definitely do that. Second, I would emphasize on community work. So there should be some aspect of your profile that shows that you are socially, you want some form of social good. I think nobody is very selfish that does everything for themselves, but you can definitely involve yourself in some form of community work. And apart from that, I think you can, I would again suggest you to get engaged in your college fest committees or your certain clubs that you can associate if you have the chance to, because I think it's a great experience. You're not enjoying college fully if you're not involved in all of these activities. So I think you should definitely do that. Even if you have just a year to go, I think everything's possible in an undergraduate college.
So just to build on to what Namya said, just to give my perspective on it. So I actually worked with one of Namya's seniors from IIT Delhi Chemical, right? So I work with like a lot of people from IIT Delhi Chemical plants for some reason. So anyways, bottom line is that she was very good at her grades and she had a very good connect with her professor, because if you're getting good grades, of course, professors know you, they are willing to help you out. They consider you as a bright student, right? So reach out to them, try to see if you can do a research project, right, with them in some capacity, right? Especially because they can then write a letter of recommendation for you. It adds a lot of value. So that particular person actually worked with one of the professors to do a very interesting research project on like happiness, right? So that was a very interesting project that she did. So it became a talking point on her application. So try to figure out these kind of opportunities and try to build upon your strengths. That's A. B, getting good grades is an asset, not a liability. It does not mean that you need to, sort of get a 9.9 or something. No, nothing of that sort. It should be in a range. That's very important. But what Namya was pointing out was that you need to have wide range of experiences also, right? So whatever time is remaining, try your level best to utilize it to its fullest extent. Try to develop more hobbies, because this is exactly what you would be doing once you go to a business school. You'll not just be sitting in a room and studying with your books. You'll have to go out, interact, show a little bit of personality. So start taking those steps right off the bat. Yes, Namya. So anything to add?
Yeah. No, I think you were right on point.
Good. All right. So Namya, I think we have covered most of the ground. So just very quickly touching upon the interviews. So what was asked on the interviews? Just a general overview. What were your impressions, and any kind of key advice or topics that you would like to share?
Sure. So I think interviews are just another step that you need to get through to make it there where you want to. But the key is practice. I'll suggest everybody that if you have actually gotten shortlisted, I think you've done the hard part. Don't let the opportunity go. Practice your answers. Even if it sounds childish, I think standing in front of a mirror, rehearsing some of the answers that you are sure that will be asked is always a nice point to start. Having said that, what is asked in the interviews is pretty much similar. They ask you to introduce yourself. They just gauge whether you will be an interesting person in their class. You have something to add to their class. So it's a two-way process. You take something from the B school, you give it back to the B school. So they just gauge, I think, in terms of your work experiences, your personality overall, that whether or not you are a fun person to be around, you're an interesting person to talk to. And I think you should, that's about it. Be confident, and as I mentioned before, they also try to gauge whether how serious you are about their school. So research about their school, about little points, whether I think, which tell them that okay, you have researched the school well. Talk to alumni, and be yourself. I think interview is not as difficult as the name sounds, and you can make it through.
Okay. Wonderful, Namya. So let's start summarizing what we have learned. So one, we talked about deferred MBA. These are great options, right? Namya's personal journey in terms of getting clarity sorted, and now starting a very hectic work life at BCG. So she would, it's good that she already has an offer. So that puts her at ease, right? So that's the first key utility and advantage of applying to deferred MBA. Please don't let people misguide you, telling you that, hey, you can't get into foreign business schools without any work experience. A lot of people believe in that myth, and then they don't end up applying anywhere. And then they regret that, hey, you know what, there is a deferred MBA option also that I could have chosen, right? So that's it. Quickly, we chipped in and talked about a little bit more about how to go about building your profile. Here, important point is that there should be some kind of a standout factor. For Namya, it was her international experiences. You should also create your own USP, so to say. And another important point there is that have a well diverse or diversified profile, right? That you have done a little bit of social impact, you have played sport, you have started some club in college. So please ensure that happens. Please worry about your recommendations. That's very important because you can, if you're not, if you don't have a good reputation at IIT, despite getting a very high GPA and no one is willing to write a recommendation, then it becomes a problem. So please, be nice to your professors, and try to help them out really. That is going to be useful. So I think these were a few key points that we covered. So Namya, anything or any final thoughts that you would like to share?
I just have to say that this is a great option, and I myself did not get a lot of resources. So I would be glad if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, and best of luck both at BCG. And I'm sure that you will get into. You have already gotten into great colleges, and you will have a great time there. So I'm glad that you would have a wonderful experience, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.